Hello everyone and welcome to this collective reading. I hope you're all well. My name is Dylan and it's great to have you here. If you've been here before then welcome back, and if it's your first time then welcome. This is a timeless reading and so you'll be finding these messages at just the right time for you. If you enjoy the way that I read, when we come to the end of the reading and you feel you'd like to book a private reading, you can find the links in the description box below. So with all of that said, let's see what we have coming through today. We're going to start with an oracle card this time. Let's see what kind of energy we're working with. So we've got the Hermit card, retreat and recharge. So maybe there's been quite a lot of effort expended in a particular area of our lives, or maybe we're just in a situation or an environment where actually we need to be quite busy some of the time, or maybe we've got a lot on our plate. Maybe we've been in spaces where we haven't been able to rest, and this is really calling us to rebalance. I remember reading the description for this card in the booklet that comes with the deck, and it was talking about the balancing of the masculine and the feminine. And so, that's all about kind of advancing, moving forwards with the masculine, and then resting with the feminine, and then doing that again and bringing it into balance. And so we've got the Sri Yantra geometric pattern in the background, and this is about the balancing of the masculine and the feminine. We've got the inverted and the upright triangle there, many different triangles within triangles actually, and I feel like this is all of the many layers of the ways that we show up in life and how we need to keep all of those layers in balance. This can feel very tricky at times. We all have lives, we all also have moving parts that we can't control, for example other people and their reactions to things and the way that they behave, the way that they show up. There can also be things that come in from left field that we're not expecting that we need to deal with. Maybe it's like a health issue, or something happens with someone else that we love that we need to help them with. Maybe we have something come up from the past that we need to deal with. Maybe we're moving through a deep healing experience and some kind of expansion at the moment. Whatever the situation is, whatever we're moving through, it is very important to keep coming back to balance. Knowing when it's time to act, knowing when it's time to rest, knowing when we really do need to push forwards on something, and knowing when we need to sit back and let something come to us. So I'm seeing like a pendulum swinging at the moment, and we're never able to stay in complete balance all of the time. It's not possible to stay in that place all of the time. We're often swinging from one side to the other, and we may come to rest for a little while and then we swing over here again and we swing over there again. So don't be too hard on yourselves if you're finding it difficult to find a space of rest at the moment, a space of balance, because I do feel like even though this is a timeless reading, at the moment, I'm recording this in 2025 and we've had some very intense astrology right from the word go at the beginning of this year through till now. So there's a lot of swinging, moving backwards and forwards. There's a lot of being shaken around, and finding our balance during those times is a big deal. And so if you've been able to do that, then really do give yourself credit for being able to find even the smallest moments, the slightest, shortest moments of equilibrium and balance, because it's not easy. We're all being called to show up in a certain way at the moment. We're all being encouraged, I would say, by spirit to show up in general and really focus on what it is that we love, what we enjoy, that we're here to do, that we feel is our sense of purpose. And finding balance with that can be difficult sometimes, especially if there's any fear, I would say, around doing the things that we feel called to do. Sometimes we have a fear of really showing up for that. So in between all of the showing up and making ourselves seen and taking the action, then we also need these periods of rest. So I highly recommend meditation practice in the morning, the evening, either one or both, where we can take out some time, or take some time out to breathe and just be and let things settle. And when we come into this rest point, this midway point where we can find that equilibrium and we just breathe, or find ourselves being breathed by the body, that's when we start to have intuitive messages come through. Because if we're always busy and we're always tense, very difficult for anything to bubble up from the subconscious, some kind of intuitive knowing. Also, we can't really find the things that are holding us back, maybe some little things that are niggling underneath that we're still carrying with us. So we need to take that time to relax in order to be able to hear ourselves, to hear our guides, and to hear spirit, to hear the universe, whatever wants to come through that we need to hear. We're not going to hear that if we're always busy. I think I touched on that in the last reading as well, so there's definitely a theme of this running through. So let's pull a tarot card. The Lovers. So we've got the Lovers here, which again is about balancing the masculine and the feminine. So it's about two aspects of ourselves. First and foremost, yes, this can show up as an external relationship with another person. Doesn't have to be romantic. It can be some kind of other partnership, business partnership, friendship. Quite often though, it can show up as a romantic relationship. But before we can find balance in an outer partnership, we need to be finding that balance within ourselves. And again, so it comes back to finding this rest point, working with the Sri Yantra, working with the polar opposites within ourselves and bringing those together, melding them, merging them so that we can create in a freer way. The Lovers can also represent a kind of choice, and actually what just came through then is that the choice is to choose ourselves, to choose what we truly feel to do in each moment. It can be very difficult when we maybe have dependents, maybe we have people we need to take care of, maybe there's a lot going on in life, and choosing ourselves might feel alien to us actually if we've moved through life choosing other people, choosing other people's needs, choosing other people's wants. To step up and say, actually, this is what I need to do, so I'm going to go and do this thing, can be very difficult. So again, I'm getting this sense, I'm seeing scales here, like the tipping of some scales, so that could be Libra energy maybe, although this is a Gemini card. I'm seeing scales tipping and again, coming into some kind of balance within ourselves. I keep being kind of prompted to mention meditation, so this is definitely a good time if you've dropped that practice, so it's fallen by the wayside, to pick it back up again. It's a good time for us to sit in silence and listen, which can be confronting in itself, because then stuff comes up or our mind just wants to run away with us. And with this being a Gemini card, connected to the third house, well, the mind can be very busy in the third house. And I just had a message then about focus and how it's important to focus the mind. So if you do find it difficult sitting in silence and meditating, maybe there's a guided meditation you can listen to, or listen to a particular piece of music that really hooks your attention, so that your mind can empty as much as possible. It's not really possible to completely empty the mind fully for any long period of time, I would say. But we can find happy distractions. I just had healthy, happy distractions. So that could be as well listening to an audiobook, something that inspires you. Could be learning a new skill. So if you wanted to learn about tarot or astrology, or you just wanted to learn about some kind of ancient history or about your ancestry, anything we can do to focus the mind is going to be really helpful, so that we're not bouncing here, there and everywhere moving forwards. So there's a definite energy of balance needed at the moment. And I just heard the words let things slide, so that's interesting. Maybe there are areas of our lives where we're letting things slide and we're not really standing up for ourselves or speaking our truth or doing what we need to do in order to create the life that we want. And we're actually maybe letting people get away with certain things and not standing in our power and actually speaking our truth. That's another message that's just come through. Okay, Six of Wands. I like this because it is a card of showing up in the world. It is a card of celebration, of homecoming as well. If we think about the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, there's a man returning from wherever he's been, maybe some kind of quest, and there are people celebrating his return. And there's this element of, I just heard fame and fortune then, which is interesting. The more that we show up as who we truly are from this space of balance, the more we are going to be seen and recognized. If we're running at things in a busy way, at a fast pace, in a chaotic, crazy kind of, oh, I'm just going to fit this in here, I'm going to fit this in there, I'm just going to wedge that there. If we're not really truly focused and balanced, then I just had the words like people can't even catch us, we're just busy, we're here, we're there. And I just had this sense of a feminine energy coming through, which is interesting because it's actually a masculine card being fire, but there is a woman in this card, in this deck. Something about feminine fire, which is interesting, feminine power, and the ability to receive recognition, because receptivity is a feminine quality. And so in order to receive that recognition, we need to be open to receive it. We need to be in a receptive state. So as well as taking this action, as well as showing up, you can see that she's I feel like she's stepping out of this dark forest behind her and really letting herself be seen, letting herself be known. And yes, that is an active state. And then also, as I said, we need to be open to receive maybe compliments, or open to receive like a great review if we provide a service, and to be open to receive financial, what's the word I'm looking for? Exchange as well for the things that we provide, the things that we do. And also to receive love. And yeah, it's really interesting. This is all really coming to me through, what do I want to say? Spiritual endeavours, they're the words that just came through. So actually by being ourselves and showing up as ourselves truthfully, honestly, authentically, letting ourselves be seen, especially in a spiritual sense, maybe we've been afraid to shine our light before, we're actually going to be, what's the word, like remunerated, we're going to be paid for that, whether that's financial or whether it's through people, like I said, leaving a review or giving words of affirmation. We're going to receive what we need when we really do show up and be who we came here to be. That's the other message coming through. So let's pull another card. Yeah, the World Tree, which is the world in the traditional tarot. So I feel like this has been a very long journey to find our way back to here. We've been all around this labyrinth. The great thing is that you can't get lost in a labyrinth. It's actually just one path. It's not like a maze where you can hit dead ends or whatever. You just keep walking and eventually you get to where you need to be. So I've got the sense that that's exactly what we've been doing. We've been walking the path, we've been keeping going. Maybe we've had to stop here and there. Maybe we needed to stop to rest. Maybe we needed to rehydrate, whatever we needed to do. But we kept going and we kept picking up the path again and we kept moving towards this doorway. And I do feel like there's this sense of having arrived home, back to ourselves. Maybe some of you are returning back to where you grew up. Maybe some of you are returning to things that you were taught as a child, like traditions that have been passed down through your ancestral line. Maybe you're returning to learning a language that was around you when you were a child. Lots of different things. This could be many different things, for all of us, different ways in which we're coming home to ourselves. And I just had the words 4 seasons in one day, which is also a song. And because of this tree, we've got the winter, the autumn, the spring and the summer. And so we could be experiencing what we might feel as 4 seasons in one day at the moment, where we're moving through lots of different emotions about things, like a rapid cycling kind of feeling, and that's okay. We're actually coming back to ourselves as spiritual, emotional beings rather than just being up in the head all of the time, which brings us back to that sense of balance, with the Lover's card, and also with the retreat, or rather the Hermit card, with that Sri Yantra, coming back to equilibrium, some kind of peace within ourselves. Even if the atmosphere around us, the environment around us is very busy, could be very noisy, could be very distracting, chaotic, We can always come back to ourselves, back to center. If that requires us to exit that situation and find a quiet space, then absolutely do that. It's not about kind of forcing ourselves to sit amidst the chaos that's going on around us and be like, right, I must be peaceful in this, because generally that doesn't often work, especially if what's going on around us is triggering. If you can find a quiet space to take yourself off to, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere now, it's spring, it's getting warmer, maybe you can sit outside for longer and enjoy absorbing, like soaking up the sun, and feeling connected to the earth. I'm just hearing balance again. So we've got soaking up the sun, which is the masculine force, the fire, and then sitting on the earth, touching grass, as they say, touch grass, get grounded, lean against a tree and feel that earth, that feminine energy as well, and find that balance for ourselves. So let's pull one more card and then we'll close out this reading. Knight of Vessels, Eel. So this is the Knight of Cups in the traditional tarot. Yeah, showing up again, a showing up energy, showing up as our full true selves. The Knight is it's a masculine force, it's action, and yet the vessels or the cups are feminine, so again it's bringing that energy together. And I'm noticing we've got the sword here carved into the rock just at the side there, if you can see that. And we've got the water here, which is feminine. The sword is very masculine, it's very phallic in shape. And I'm just getting the sense of this kind of coming together of the sword and the chalice, which is interesting, like this feeling of the sword moving into the chalice and being held. And with that, I'm getting that sense of masculine, feminine balance again, coming together. And it's somehow, what I'm feeling here is actually, usually I would say the masculine providing a container, but I'm feeling the earthly feminine providing a container for the Knight to come back to retreat to return from the quest. As I was saying with the Six of Wands, it's returning from that quest. Hang on. Yeah, the Knight returning from that quest. In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, there's the man returning from somewhere. And so I feel like it's our Knight, our active selves, returning into this feminine resting place. So as I was saying, if you can find a space out in nature to lean against the tree, maybe find a hollow that you can sit in, or just lie on the grass and find that peaceful space, reset, and then we're ready to move back into those situations, maybe those chaotic situations that we have in our lives, or a noisy environment, or whatever. If we can find places and spaces of peace and regenerate and recalibrate and recharge, then we can enter back into the fray, so to speak, with a full cup. So yeah, I feel like that would be a really good approach. As I said, meditation is fantastic for that. Meditate in whichever way feels good for you, that helps you to recharge. Could be a guided meditation, as I said. Could be meditating by yourself, could be listening to music, could be drawing even. Walking in nature, noticing everything is a very good mindful way to approach meditation. So yeah, I hope this reading's been helpful. It looks as though we're really focusing on balance with this one, so keep coming back to that center point. Take extra good care of yourselves, and again, if you'd like a private reading, the link is below in the description box. So take good care of yourselves, as I said. Much love to you all, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye bye.